Good morning, YouTube. It is I. I woke up this morning. I slept really good. I think it's all the tea I'm drinking. One does have to take care of themselves. Sometimes we get so caught up in the everyday that we neglect taking care of ourselves, even in little ways. I do that by drinking tea, having a certain kind of tea, reading, journaling. There's that kind of stuff. Doing some art. But that's not why I'm here. If you do not know who Cat Williams is, Cat Williams is a comedian. It takes a certain kind of person. His particular brand of comedy is not for everybody. But there was one time Cat Williams was talking about haters and saying that folks need haters, like haters have a job, right? Folks need haters. I'm sorry, I'm pruning my plant sitting right here, getting some sun too. That folks need haters because haters spur you on. Haters get you riled up to do a thing. Not to say that you wouldn't do this thing if you didn't have haters, you would. But haters give that special to it. Recently, I've been told, just talking to some people, and this is when you may not need to talk to people or set a boundary for how you speak to people or how people speak to you and who you want to let or give your energy to, or how you want people to act in a space that you're in, right? To set up a boundary. So, as we all know, there was an election year. Cool. Things happen. Okay. But a few people that I've been talking to, or that talk to me, say things like, oh, now that all of this stuff is happening, BLX isn't going to be able to X, Y, and Z, whatever, right? Fill in the blank. And my attitude has never changed, that BLX would still try to do the things that BLX is doing. Like, I don't have to really, although we get awarded grants every now and then. It doesn't happen often. We have to apply for grants, and that's what I've been doing for the past 2 days, is applying for grants and working on the spring workshops that I've created, putting together a health fair for the spring and or the fall. These things are not stopping just because somebody is in office or because other people are acting scared about a thing. Now, I'm not saying that things are not going to be hard or harder, right? But folks like me and that do things that I do, right, in that kind of industry, it's always hard. It's always hard. And not to say that it's like, oh, we just lean into the hardness of it. That didn't sound right. Just lean into it. We don't want to have to lean into it, but we understand the reality. And also the reality is that one monkey don't stop no show. And if we are going to continue to do what we need to do, we need to push on and push past and, take a breath, get knocked down and get up and try to do it again. But you also want to have people around you that are going to support you, that are going to support that kind of endeavor. Not the people that are going to be like, well, girl, well, what you going to do? You're not going to get no grants. Well, in the last administration, I was filing for grants and, it's like, it's interesting that people have a perspective of, we ain't gonna never have nothing. Like, we in the fucking color purple. Like, and we're not. It may feel like it at times, but we're not. You have to sometimes create your own reality. And granted, we, and you know who we are, maybe 10 steps behind. But that doesn't mean that we don't take some steps forward to achieve a thing, to do a thing. We don't find a way, doesn't mean that we don't find a way to make a way, right? I mean, we come from a legacy of folks finding a way. And especially me. I mean, like, I would tell you a story about my family, but I try to keep my personal life out of things, which isn't true. So, my grandmother wanted to be an interior designer, right? She was not able to be an interior designer. She was born in 1903. My grandfather was born in 1903. I think she was born in like 1905, right? She, black woman, well, it's a lot of information. So, my grandmother, I'm not saying she could have passed because she couldn't, but it was strange having a black person in my family with red hair. Right? My grandmother was a black woman. She was a fair-skinned black woman, and she had red hair. And she wanted to be an interior designer, but she wasn't afforded the opportunities for that to happen. She was also one hell of a seamstress. And I'm telling you this story because she found a way. So her apartment was her interior design. That was her realm, right? You can come, people were really jealous. You can come into her house and you would be like you would see stuff like from a magazine. But it wasn't that she spent money, you know what I'm saying, like going out and buying different kinds of different items for her home. She did like thrifting, found items, she reupholstered items. She did all those things, right? I remember spending weekends with our grandmother, and we would go to El Barrio to the market, La Maquita, and there used to be fabric stores all up and down 116th Street. And we would go to every fabric store after we went to the market. And then she would come home, and that week she would be like doing shit. And I'm saying that to say, I am my grandmother's child. And so I will find a way to do a thing. It may take me long to do it, but step by step, bit by bit, you know, it will get done. I'm not going to, and that's where I come to when I say about the boundaries of who you're going to let in. And you know, since these few people have said, oh, well, you know, Sir Raven, I don't know if you're going to be able to do what you want to do with BLX. Yeah, I am. I think that, like most things, that was a projection from them onto me. That was them maybe not having the confidence. They not knowing that you have to fake it till you can make it. Not having the compassion or the empathy, which, you know, I should talk, to just be supportive. And, you know, I know sometimes people think, well, I'm telling you this because you need to hear the truth. Bitch, I know the truth. I know it's hard. It's always been hard, right? It's been difficult, and then it's been hard, right? So those are two different things for me, right? So sometimes things are very difficult, and it's always been difficult. Has it always been hard? Not all the time. It's been difficult, but it hasn't been hard all the time. Now I think those two things are merging, and maybe they thought saying those things to me was going to give me like some wake-up call. But I've been awake. Unlike some people, I know the definition of woke. So anyway, I'm saying all that to say, today I will be, again, working on some grants. I don't have the opportunity of having a grant writer, but I'm getting pretty good at trying to figure out this whole grant thing. Just needed some time and some patience with myself, and I don't beat myself up. So, when people say you have to preserve your peace, sometimes these words become like catchphrases, but I do understand that I have no problem saying, "Nah, girl, I can't talk," or that phone could ring and I could send that shit right to voicemail. I have a choice. I don't have to answer the phone. And so I think I may have to go back to really setting up a boundary. And usually what happens is, first of all, usually what happens is when you set a boundary, people get really mad at you. But at this point in my life, I don't give a fuck. Get mad, right? Because the people who do care will always respect that boundary. And that also has happened on the flip side of the haters. When I do pick up the phone, it's like, "Yo, what you doing? You want to talk for a few minutes?" I'm like, "Yo, I got to write this grant, this and the third." It's like, "I got you. I'll talk to you later." And they can hang up. I'm like, "No, I need a break." Those people are like, "Nah, keep focusing, keep doing it," right? And that's the flip side of the haters. But when you set up a boundary, or when you are saying something to someone that they're understanding that there is a boundary, they tend to get mad. And like I said, I don't really care. So that's all I got. I mean, I wonder if, and I'm gonna give some credit, and this may be my downfall. Before I set up the boundary, I'm gonna have a conversation. Because they are going to say it again. They are going to say it again. They're going to say a thing. And I need to maybe kind of tease that out, because maybe they don't know that they're doing it. And so I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and have a conversation and ask them. I'm going to be curious, as the prince says. I'm going to be curious, and ask them why they say these kinds of things, and what is the meaning behind it. I'm telling you, I guarantee it's going to be like, "Well, because, girl, you need to hear the truth." It's okay. But I'm going to do that. I wonder if anyone else has had this instance of having a hater, and I'm calling them haters. They're not really haters. They're just not very encouraging. Because of things that they're saying, they're not saying hateful things. They just might be misguided. But I wonder if anyone has had this kind of experience with someone that they know and that they may be even close to, right? They may not be a friend, maybe they're an associate, or maybe they're a friend, where you have to set up a boundary. And what was that like? So you set this boundary up, and how did the outcome come? How did the outcome come? What did the outcome of that? What was the outcome of that? It's so early. I'm interested to find out if, and I know it's not just me, but I am interested to find out how one protects their peace without being like, just using that word, "I got to protect my peace." Not that way. Like, how do you really go about setting up a boundary, reserving your energy, your mental state of mind, even? Like, how does one do that? Let's discuss in the comments. I'd like to hear other tips and tricks. If you got tips and tricks, let me know. I do know that one person that I used to know would be like, "Fuck that." And they like cut everybody off and block people and doing all that kind of shit. And I was always wondering, like, why would you do that? Like, anyway, that's a different video for a different time. But anyway, let me know how you protect your peace. Let me know how you deal with your haters. Let me know if you even think you have haters. Maybe you don't have haters. Everybody got a hater. But until then, it's me, Sir Raven, sitting in the sun. Please stay warm, stay safe, and stay peaceful.